Hello everyone, welcome back and thank you for joining us on the Live Unreal with Glover U podcast, where every week Jeff Glover will dive deep into the questions that you are asking. He understands the challenges you're facing on a day-to-day basis because he still works every day on the front lines of real estate, with him and his team closing over 1,000 homes per year. In today's episode, we'll be talking to Seychelle Van Poole on building a hyperlocal listing-based business. You will learn from Jeff and Seychelle how to be strategic in building a local listing business to capture your market. Now, let's hear from Jeff Glover and Seychelle Van Poole.
I was just chatting backstage with Seychelle, who has a reputation for a very big hyperlocal business. And one thing that's interesting is we are complete opposites. You know, I went the mass route. I don't mind driving an hour or two to an appointment. I don't mind calling all over the state. I didn't need to be hyperlocal. Advertising is mass, of course, once we got to a certain level in business. And the reason why I invited Seychelle to do a one-on-one with me is really twofold. Number one, because she's the exact opposite. She is the hyperlocal listing domination agent in her market, and I know nothing about that. So selfishly, I'm going to learn some things today with you. But two, because I think a lot of us don't take enough advantage of the actual contacts and conversations and things that take place in our market, and she's got some awesome ideas on how to do that. Let's see what you got for us. Let's welcome Seychelle Van Poole.
Thank you.
Welcome. So if you would, share with us, first off, we heard on the panel yesterday, but we've heard from a lot of people. So let's start off with who you are, where you're from, what company you're with, how long you've been doing it. Let's just get some of the basics out of the way.
Awesome. So my name is Seychelle Van Poole. I'm from Dallas, Texas. I'm a Dallas native, and our team, Van Poole Properties, serves the whole Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex.
Yep.
I joined my mom in real estate. My mom is Barbara Van Poole,
yep.
And I joined her in 2004.
Okay.
And we're with Keller Williams, Dallas Preston Road, which is the largest producing brokerage in Dallas-Fort Worth.
That's a big office.
It is a big office.
How many agents are in that
Close
office?
to 600 agents in that office.
Wow. Huge.
So yeah, it's a big office.
Yep.
But what I love about that though is you have that many more resources and tools
yep.
and support and competition. I do better in a big pond.
Yeah.
So that's actually been really wonderful for
Well,
us.
you have to have people to look up to. So.
You do,
Yep.
and you know, we've launched some amazing people. We've had a lot of people be #1 in the country that have come out of that office, and I think that that's really wonderful that we get to continue both with our leadership and with our teams,
yep.
really grow and foster just awesome people out of there. So that's been fantastic.
Perfect. So take me all the way back to the beginning.
Okay.
When you decided to get into real estate, what were you doing
I thought we were
before?
going back to birth, so that's great.
Well, we can do that too. Go far back as you want.
No, you know, actually where I'd like to start is Barbara got into real estate in 2001, and she actually got into real estate on her birthday, which was September 11th, 2001.
Wow.
And as you guys, a lot of you in the room remember, that was a pretty interesting day to have as your first day in a new business.
Interesting day for all of us.
Yeah.
Everyone remembers what they were doing on that day.
Yeah, everybody remembers. And she had just passed her broker's exam, or her real estate exam, and this will tell you something about Barbara. She not only made 100 on the exam, she actually found a mistake on the exam and pointed it out to the people that had administered the exam. So I feel like she gets bonus points for that.
I've known your mom now for 10 years. I'm not surprised by that.
Yeah, exactly. So she's that type of person that if she's going to do something, she's going to do it with excellence, and she's going to do it extremely well.
Yep, great.
And so she was celebrating coffee with my dad, getting into real estate when the towers were hit. Literally, everyone jumped up in the Starbucks they were sitting in and started hovering around a screen. And so that's when she started.
Okay.
And you know, with that time, there was so much uncertainty that happened that she was really banking on building a sphere-based business.
Yep.
She was president of the PTA, she was very involved in our community, and so she was really banking on leveraging a lot of those relationships that she had invested in for years into real estate. And
so she had all the relationships that we talk about in real estate getting after. She already had all that.
She had built through years of volunteering in the schools, and my dad owning his own company, and they'd been president of the HOA associations.
Sure.
Like, they had been very involved in the community, not for the reasons of I want to reap the benefits in real estate, but they had been involved because they really cared deeply about the community.
Yep.
And when that happened, nobody wanted to make a life change. And so Barb, being the determined person she was determined to be Rookie of the Year that year. And so she did everything she swore she would never do. She cold called, she door knocked, she held open houses. She started direct mailing and farming right away. And so she started out her first year, she was International Rookie of the Year for Keller Williams with not a single person from her database.
Sure, wow.
Which is just really amazing.
Yeah,
she could pull that off.
She went into that with that as her backup and her options of sphere of influence and so forth.
Exactly. So she thought, I've got this in the bag. I think it was, she had a big why. And her big why was the year prior to that, so this would have been, or I guess 2 years prior to that, my dad had been diagnosed with Parkinson's. And Parkinson's is one of those diseases, especially back then, you didn't know anything about. There was no Michael J. Fox Foundation. There was no
wasn't a lot of awareness around it.
There was not a lot of awareness. And the doctors actually told him, you either have a brain aneurysm that's about to rupture, or you have Parkinson's. And so when they found out he had Parkinson's, my dad thought, well, actually, that's not so bad considering the alternative.
Yeah, correct.
And so he was diagnosed with Parkinson's, and she went to corporate America for the insurance for 2 years. And once she hit that mark where she could apply for COBRA, she left corporate America and got into real estate. And she felt like real estate was an avenue that gave her unlimited opportunity for financial freedom. It gave her unlimited opportunity if she needed to help take care of my dad. And that really was an avenue for her that she chose to help provide for our family.
So then at what point did you decide to enter into business with her?
Right. So I graduated from the University of Texas in 2003. I'd been an advertising major and worked my way through school. And I had a younger sister that was coming up into college as I graduated. And I actually I worked in New York for about a year and a half, and to get my job up there, I actually just cold called all of the CEOs. Because I figured who better to get the reference from than the CEO?
Yeah, sure.
You know, why go to the HR department? And
Smart.
I mean, that makes sense. And so I cold called the CEOs, had job offers from all 15 agencies by the time I moved up there, worked for DDB, which was the #1 ad agency at the time. And we worked easily 65 to 75 hours a week every week. And you had to have a side job to pay for your real job because you were in New York and crammed in this tiny apartment. And
what was your role at the ad agency?
Account management.
Account manager. Okay.
So it's essentially what I do in real estate. You're managing expectations. You're
convincing people to sign contracts
convincing people to sign contracts, helping them decide that this is the best campaign for them, helping to shepherd it through the process. Basically, what you do in real estate, except you get paid better in real estate.
Yes, of course.
And I just started asking myself the question. I love advertising. I love branding. I love creating something of high quality that's creative and interesting and funny, or engaging. But I just started asking myself the question when I looked at everyone 15 and 20 years my senior. I started looking at them going, like my group account directors, which was pretty much as high up as you would get until you got to the C class, were still commuting an hour each way on the train. They were, maybe making 120 to 150 by New York standards, which is not a whole lot to support your family. They weren't seeing their children. And I started thinking,
so they had no balance and they were covering their bills.
Right, and I'm all for, I don't mind putting in time, but I want to see the vision for where we're going to go. And, at the same time, my dad was working, running his own company still, and he was coming up to New York once a quarter for market. And I think when you see someone every day, you don't notice the little nuances, but when you see somebody every 3 or 4 months, if their hair has changed, or if their health has changed, or their weight has changed, you notice it.
Something's up.
Exactly, you notice it. And so I really started to ask the question of, if something happens to him, because we don't know what is going to happen with Parkinson's, if something happens to him, who's going to take care of him? And I said, my mom is probably going to want to do that. And if she needs to take care of him, and they're in their early 50s, who is going to take care of them?
Exactly.
Who's going to take care of both of them? And because we knew we had a long road, if you're 53 and you're now you've got 12 years until you reach Medicare age, that's a lot of risk financially. And I don't know if any of you all have had healthcare crises, but that can bankrupt someone really quickly. And so I set out at that point to get into real estate. And I made it just my goal to create financial freedom for my family. So that in the event she needed to take care of him, which she ended up needing to, that they weren't having to worry about, well, how are we going to pay for our bills? How are we going to provide housing and all of those things.
So you were pretty clear and black and white on why you were doing it.
Extremely clear. Right. I mean, crystal
obviously
clear.
you had a minimum that you need to make for yourself,
Right.
but obviously above and beyond to take care of them.
Absolutely.
Which, we find so much is the reason why agents either won't stick to a system or hate accountability or hate time management, because they're not really clear on why it is they're doing it
Right.
and what they would do with that money. You
Right.
knew exactly when you got it what you would do with it.
I know exactly what I would do. And
Yep.
so I was 20, I graduated college at 20 and I got into real estate at 22.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked about like I was 12.
Yeah.
Probably how you did too, right?
Yeah,
So
well,
I
tell my clients, I've been in the business for 17 years, but I was one of the few that got into real estate at 9 years old. And so, of course, that always...
I was so worried about being a threat to anyone. I was at 22. You don't even know which way is
Yep,
up yet.
that's right.
And so I had this like whole persona that I would wear. I had fake glasses that would make me. I thought I would look smarter. Now I actually need them, but I didn't then.
Sure.
And I would put my hair up in a bun, and I would wear turtlenecks up to here. It was like neck to knee were always
Yep.
covered at all times.
Ultra conservative, yep.
Yeah, very conservative. I had like this rock of an engagement ring that Nick and I were dating, but not married. And so
Yep.
poor Nick, everyone would be like, congratulations.
Oh, sure,
and
yeah.
it's like,
Yep.
what is going on?
Yep.
But I wanted to make sure that I looked a part that I felt like I needed to look to
Yeah.
earn the business that I needed to earn.
So what did your first couple years in the business look like?
I was a buyer's agent for Barbara for my first 2 years in the business. I averaged, this is before the land of showing agents, which I would have killed
Yeah,
to have had
the
that.
model
We
at
have
the
that
time.
in our business
Yep,
now.
yep. Thankfully, Gary introduced that to us.
Oh my gosh, that was a life changer for quality of life for our entire team, which
Yep,
is amazing.
yep.
But so I did 36 deals my first year. I didn't sleep. And I'm pretty sure like my gray natural highlighting that I have now was from that time.
Yep.
And so I did 36 deals my first year. I think I did 42 my second year.
Yep.
And then
Both great years for that early in the business.
Yeah,
And you
not
were
bad.
just doing the normal converting leads, showing homes, getting offers
Yep.
written, right? The normal
Yep.
process, great.
Yeah,
Okay.
just doing lead generation, open houses, sign calls, door
And
knocking.
at the time, where were those buyer leads coming from? Because buyer
that
leads weren't as
time-
prevalent back then.
Right, buyer leads weren't as prevalent, and most of my friends were still 22, so none of them were buying
Sure.
houses.
Yep.
So I would do buyer seminars for people that were downsizing, because I figured I could target a lot of my friends' parents who might be downsizing.
Yes.
And then I did a lot of open houses.
Got it.
And you wouldn't believe, like, even just sign calls alone were converting really well
Back
at that
then,
point, too.
sign calls were a big deal.
They were.
Today,
They're very different
I mean,
today.
it's a small piece of anyone's business because
exactly right.
it's so easy to access information online.
But I knew day one that I needed to start building a database. And so we are graduating high school class at 1,800 kids in it. I had moved back to a city that I knew a lot of people, and I knew that if I was consistent over time,
Yep.
and I sewed into those relationships because I really love and appreciate people, that I could build the type of business that I wanted to build. So
Yep.
from day one, I was keeping track of people. I was putting them into a database,
Yep.
meeting people for coffee, setting up business appointments with people that owned other businesses. I was very strategic that I want to build a community-based business. I want to
Yep.
build a sphere-based business
Yep.
that can grow fruits for the
So,
time after that.
How did you do that because I hear this from agents, well, yeah, that sounds great. I would love to be that hyper-local and build that database and get to know everyone in the community. But that takes time. What am I going to do in the meantime for income in order to do that? How did you survive? Or were you doing kind of both at the same time? Were you still working those buyer leads and blocking time to make these connections? What did that look like?
I think if you were to go back and like have a third party view of what it looked like, it probably just looked like a hot mess, honestly.
Yeah.
I think in hindsight we're far more strategic than sometimes we are in the middle of the chaos, right?
Okay, yep.
But I think there are a couple of things that really were important. Number one was I decided that real estate was the career for me.
Yep.
And that I was going to be here.
Okay.
And if I'm going to be here for the long haul, whether you buy from me today, tomorrow, or
Yes.
10 years from now,
Yep.
I better be in contact with you.
So what I heard in that is you essentially made real estate life. Now,
yeah.
that doesn't mean it consumed your life, but your mentality was, I'm going to be in this business for life.
Right.
So I might as well make as many contacts, have as many conversations, and create as many relationships as I can possibly. Right?
Exactly, because I know that what I do today if I'm doing lead generation today, I'm not going to see the fruits of that at the earliest for 90 days out.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I know.
So if I'm looking at everything I do today will reap rewards 90 to 180 days down the road, then all I'm focusing on is what I can do today to grow my business for the next 6 months and the next 6 months. And so, I think one of the interesting parts of that is when you're looking at business in that way, it allows you a lot of freedom because now every person you come into contact with becomes somebody of value.
Yes.
And they have merit and they have weight and a relationship that you can decide, is this somebody that I'm like-minded with and I want to grow business with? Or is this somebody maybe I just want to put on a lighter drip and down the road, maybe when their best friend gets out of real estate, because we know that'll happen, then I can work with them then.
Every single person you come in contact with in this business has value for life.
Yes.
Assuming
we can
you
equate
choose
it.
to
Every
be
person in our database is worth $533.
Got it.
So if I meet you and I put you in my database, that's $533 that I just put in my database.
Because you know the numbers of what percentage are actually going to do something with you or refer you something, and you can break it down to that.
Right. And like to give you a great example of this, like I hear all the time they'll say, well, oh, my best friend's a realtor. Oh, my, best friend's wife is a realtor. And my theory has always been, that's great for today. But I can give you an exact example. There's a guy I went to high school with named Jason. His best friend's wife was a realtor. Awesome. And every quarter I would call him. He ended up relocating to Chicago. We referred him somebody up there. He moved back down 7 years later. I literally called him every single quarter for 7 years. And he ended up buying with us, selling his previous property, having his parents move down, his in-laws move down, and his sister bought a house from us. But if I had assumed, oh, well,
there's no chance I can get business from him.
His best friend is a realtor, then his best friend's wife is a realtor. That would have been 5 transactions, I think, and it was close to $80,000 in commission that we wouldn't have realized just from one call a quarter. And I wasn't like, hey, do you want to buy or sell a house every time? It was, hey, Jason, how are you? How's Chicago? What's going on?
What's interesting about that is I'm already working with someone, or so-and-so is a realtor. In most cases, is a smokescreen objection.
Oh, totally.
Right? Especially, for instance, in open houses. They tell you, oh, no, we've already got an agent. They're only saying that to get you to back off. Okay, yeah, maybe they had someone show them a few homes, or maybe their best friend's wife is a realtor. That doesn't mean that that's their agent. That doesn't mean that that's who they're going to use. So, of course, you have to be ethical and you can't break any rules about it, but you just provide value. You just continue to provide value no matter what they say, whether they're working with an agent or not.
Well, and to that point, like I'm not looking to get in the way of somebody's realtor relationship today. Like if you're going to buy with them, I actually am happy to. I love picking up the phone and calling their agent. Say, Jeff, that's awesome that Sally's your realtor. What's her last name? Fantastic. What I love to do is call those agents and let them know that you came through the open house today, and to give any feedback that you gave, because I want to make sure that I'm being respectful to your realtor relationship. Right?
Which now you're building rapport with the co-op agent when you make that call.
Absolutely. Which that could be an opportunity for a team member for me. That's a great opportunity when they're bringing a buyer on our listing. Right? That they now know us, they like us, they trust us. So I just think if you have the mindset of I'm going to be here. You look at business totally differently than if it's just, I'm only worried about feeding myself today. And one example we did with our team, which I think best exemplifies this, is I want you to close your eyes.
Me or everyone?
You. Everyone, if you want, but you.
Okay.
I want you to close your eyes.
Okay, close.
And I want you to put out your hand.
Which one?
Anyone.
Which way?
Straight towards me.
Okay. Well, I can't see you.
It's okay, put it out.
Okay.
Okay. And now I want you to close your fist really tight. Close it up, real tight like this.
Are you signing a contract for our program?
Yeah. I'm gonna have you sign a contract for me. No, I'm not. Okay. Now I want you to pretend what I just put on your hand is a $100 bill, and I want you to open your eyes and stare at it. And without using any other body part, I want you to figure out how to get that $100 bill in your pocket.
I can use my hand.
You can't open it though.
Okay.
You got to keep it tightly closed, and I want you to get that $100 in your pocket. Yeah.
I have a jacket on. This isn't fair.
Fair game. Okay.
Okay.
How hard was that?
It was pretty easy after I gave it some thought.
Okay. Now I want you to do it again, but I want you to keep your hand open. Okay.
Close my eyes.
Okay.
Hand is open.
Now put it in your pocket.
And I can close my fist?
Yeah, you can close it. You can do anything you want with it. Was that easier?
Much easier.
Okay. Now what I want you to think about is when we walk into business, am I coming from abundance and with my hands open for opportunity and open for relationships and open for reciprocity? Or am I walking in every day so scarcity mindset-wise that even if I put $100 on top of you today, that I can't figure out how to get that money in my pocket.
Interesting.
Does that make sense?
Yep,
and
it does.
so I think as business people, when we walk into business like this every day, it's way easier to put money in your pocket.
Yep.
And that, I think, is a mindset that we as an industry have to have when you're looking at it for the long term.
So can you give me an example of that, of how you do that with a business that you walk into or
like
in your community?
In theory, right?
Yep.
So I'll give you an example. So our business, if you look at our three big pieces of business, it's past client sphere of influence in our community.
I have not heard that once this entire retreat, by the way.
It's shocking,
That
right?
is a new
it's
one.
shocking.
Can you explain to us what that is?
The second one's agent-to-agent referrals, and then the third one's actually Yelp. But if we look at the first two, past client sphere of influence and raving fans, we believe in being thankful, and we believe in being grateful. And so for our huddle every day, we have our team members, we go over our numbers, we go over what our one thing is today we need to do that such by doing, everything else is unnecessary, and we give one thing that we're thankful for. And with our clients, we realize what are we doing to let our clients know that we're thankful for them on a regular basis? What are we doing to come with value, and what are we doing to make sure that we know that they appreciate us? And what we realized is we started layering items of value and appreciation for our clients. And it wasn't like you and I were talking backstage where we just exploded on our clients where we said, oh my gosh, here's 900 things we're going to do for you. Because if you're going from somebody who maybe has heard from you via direct mail and maybe a phone call to all of a sudden all these things, you're just kind of barfing on them, right? So we started really strategically layering on different items of value over like a 4-year period of time that have now created this just total flow of abundance back.
It's interesting that it took 3-4 years because, by the way, we were the same way in our business. I was not into the sphere and past client. I mean, it was like number 6 on our list. We were doing 500, 600, 700 transactions, and it was less than 100 deals a year. Today, it's 1,000 deals a year, and it's 350 from our past clients in sphere.
That's awesome.
But it took us 4 years. From the day we started improving our customer service, doing client events, being more in touch with them, right? It took 4 years to really get to that point.
Well, and I think we're in a society where instant gratification is such a conversation, right? Everybody wants it now. And I think anything worth having is worth doing well. And I was fortunate enough, my grandfather was in the country club business for a very long time. And he believed that if you're serving the masses, you better do it as if you're serving the classes. And so anything that we do, we strive to do with excellence, and we strive to do at the highest level possible, which means that if we do a pie event, right, the first time is not going to be awesome. Just like this conference wouldn't have been awesome the first time you did it. I'm sure it was great, but you know what I mean? Compared to...
No, I can tell you, it was not great.
Compared to today, right? And the experience I was just bragging about 2 seconds ago. It's a totally different experience. And if we're constantly just trying one thing and, oh, that didn't work, not do it again, try one thing, not do it, work, do it again, all you're basically doing is just creating a whole line of not awesome things. We could use other words, but not awesome things. That instead, if you commit to it, we say pick it and stick it. Pick something, stick with it, and commit to it for the long run. Now you're into the process improvement game. And that, I think, is where people really appreciate quality, and they appreciate intentionality, and they appreciate thoughtfulness behind it.
And your clients are picking up on this every year because you're getting better every year.
Absolutely. Our first pie event had 50 people and 1 referral. Our last one last year had 650 people show up and 43 referrals.
So pie event, that is they come to your office and pick up a pie around Thanksgiving or
the
something?
The Tuesday before Thanksgiving from 12 to 5, they come and pick up a pie or a bundt cake that are made. We're actually the single largest sale for Central Market and for Nothing Bundt Cake for their entire year.
Got it. Wow.
And which is really great. So now we've built referrals out of all of those businesses too. But yeah, it's great. And the whole mindset behind all of our events is, how do I insert myself into your conversations? So if you're walking into Thanksgiving and you've got my branding all over your stuff, right? And we're having fun and we've had a great time and you've really engaged, and you're walking into Thanksgiving.
Or someone's just going to say, oh, you baked a pie this year.
No great, way. Take credit. That's fantastic, right? But I want to be in your conversations. We have a portrait event in spring we do, which is Portraits in the Park. That we started
one of our
6 years ago. 6 years ago we started that, and those are custom like mini photo sessions.
Yep.
And
When you do your client events, do you encourage your clients to invite guests?
It depends on the event.
Okay.
For our pumpkin
isn't that a
patch
good way
and our
to
pie.
continue to create relationships and get
Yes.
bigger relationships, right?
Yes.
Better relationships?
I think it depends on the cost of the event,
Got it.
right? We
Yep.
used to do a movie event where people would all invite their friends, and all of a sudden, like if you're giving out $10 a ticket for every single one and they're bringing 15 of their friends, but
Yep.
they're all in one family, you're
Yeah,
like,
sure.
ah.
Yep, got it.
So I think we strategically decide which ones are our VIP only events. And by invite only, and we want our clients to intentionally feel special, and which ones are open for more people to come.
Awesome. Last piece of advice you can give us for building a hyperlocal listing business through the methods you guys used. If I'm in the audience today and I don't know where to start, or in my shoes where we've always been mass at, we only got into sphere of influence of past clients just 3-4 years ago. Mm-hmm. What would be the best piece of advice you could give me if I wanted to make a decision to take action on that method of building a listing-based business?
If it were me, I would look at where is business coming from in your community? Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is, a couple of examples. Number one would be, we had a lack of new builds in our area, but our population in Dallas-Fort Worth is set from the 2000 census to the 2040 census. Mm-hmm. Our population is set to grow by 40%.
Okay.
The country is going to grow by 16%.
Yep.
So we're at a 2.5x rate of people, which means we have a shortage of housing.
Sure.
So we started targeting small custom builders that didn't have the budget to hire a sales team that we could represent them.
We talked about that yesterday.
We did.
Yep.
And being able to pick that up and run with it. And then now we're taking those guys from the luxury end down to the lower end to make sure that we have the inventory that we need. But it's a deep relationship we can build.
So getting into
and you can build it over time.
Small to medium-sized builders.
That's an easy way to start, right? And let's say I have some people around the country that say, well, we don't have land to do that with. Well, okay, the second one would be then I would look at HR directors of small companies that are moving people here and create a relocation package that you can give to that small company that donates back to their charity of choice or helps them with closing costs through Keller Mortgage or whatever lender you want to use.
Sure.
And you build it that way. We had a tremendous amount of success with that. Right? But I think if you can get into key strategic relationships with someone that can generate multiple streams of business, it's much easier than if you're trying to just go to the masses.
I love it. Thank you for the ideas. Mm-hmm. Thanks for being here.
Thank
You're
you,
awesome.
Jeff.
All right, let's hear it for it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you for taking your time to join Jeff today on the Live Unreal with Glover U podcast. To get started on having an unreal business, take the real estate self-assessment. After you complete the assessment, a member of Glover U will get on a call with you to create an action plan to improve your score. Go to www.gloveru.com/self. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe. Search for Live Unreal with Glover U on iTunes, Podbean, or Spotify, and subscribe today. Until next time, remember, every single person you come in contact with in this business has a value for life.